What it is, what it do. I'm A1, this is the division, and boy, do we got a good video for y'all today. Or at least I hope it's good. I think it's gonna be good. Anyways, in today's video, I'm gonna be showing you how much skill power you need in order to reach the cap for every skill and every skill mod. Because for those who don't know, there are differences in the amount of skill power you need in order to reach the cap, not only between different skills, but between different skill mods. And then a little bit later on in the video, I'm going to be explaining how you can take the skill attributes on your gear into account when you're trying to figure out how much skill power you need in order to reach the cap. Also, before we get started, I do want to remind everybody that if you find this video useful, be sure to either leave a like, share, or favorite, or a comment. And if you're new to my channel, feel free to subscribe. I promise I won't bite. Alright, so after I uploaded my tactician build the other day, there were a couple comments. Well, nobody asked, but there were a couple comments that made me ask myself, like, how much skill power do you need in order to max out each skill and skill mod? So I spent a couple hours today looking around on the internet, and fortunately I came across this website, which I'll leave a link to in the description. It's called divisiontips.com, and on this website I was able to find an infographic that explains exactly how much skill power you need for each skill and for each skill mod. And to be precise, I don't think it's exact. I do believe that the numbers you're going to see are rounded. So for example, if you needed 47,900 skill power to reach a cap for a specific skill, in this picture I'm going to show, you're probably going to see 48,000 instead of 47,900. So I did want to point that out. I don't think it's exact. Instead, I think it's rounded. So I'm going to go ahead and pull it up on the screen so you can take a look at it. And before I break down what this means exactly, I do want to quickly explain a couple things. The first thing I want to point out is that I didn't double check each of these numbers that you see in front of you. I did test the tactical scanner pulse with different amounts of skill power, and I also tested the recharger smart cover as well. And I did end up reaching the cap at exactly the same point as you see in this picture. With that being said, I'm assuming the rest of the numbers are accurate as well. It's stated on the website that these numbers were updated after patch 1.2, and I'm also assuming that they're still accurate right now. So that was the first thing I wanted to point out. Another thing I wanted to point out is that the info you're looking at right now doesn't include weapon talents that can increase your skill power, and it also doesn't include skill attributes on your gear, which can also increase your skill power. So what I'm going to be showing you is the amount of skill power you need if you don't have any skill attributes on your gear that matches the skills you're using, and it also doesn't include any weapon talents that may increase your skill power as well. So this is basically explaining how much skill power you need without any extra buffs. Does that make any sense? I hope I didn't confuse y'all. Don't leave yet. I promise this is going to be a good video. Alright, so I'm not going to go through each of these. I will go through a couple of them to explain exactly what you're looking at. The first one we're going to look at is the pulse, because mainly that's the first one on this chart, and it's the one that surprised me the most out of all of the skills. As you can see under ability, it has the different mods, whether it's none, which means no mod. You also have the scrambler mod, the tactical scanner mod, and the recon pack mod. And if you look directly to the right of that, you'll see a column that says effect 1. You'll see another column that says effect 2, and then you'll see a third column that says cooldown. Now, sticking with the pulse skill as an example, effect 1 is going to represent your 40% crit hit chance, which is the maximum amount of crit hit chance you can get with a pulse mod. The effect 2 column represents the crit hit damage you get from the pulse, with 100% crit hit damage being the maximum amount you can get. And the third column, which is the cooldown column, is exactly what you think it means. It's how much skill power you're going to need in order to achieve the minimum amount of cooldown time. And I know technically you can get a quicker cooldown by equipping gear that has skill haste, or using a skill like the ammo cache support station or the recharger smart cover. But again, we're not going to be including any of those buffs when it comes to this picture. So with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at the tactical scanner mod for the pulse skill. And we're going to look at tactical scanner because I believe that's the most used mod when it comes to the pulse. And as you can see here under effect 1, it says 42k, which means that you're going to need 42,000 skill power in order to reach the cap, which is 40% crit hit chance. So if you were trying to max out your crit hit chance with the pulse, all you need is 42,000 skill power. Now what surprised me the most about the pulse is how much skill power you need in order to reach the 100% crit hit damage cap. And the amount of skill power you're going to need is 58,000 skill power in order to reach the 100% crit hit damage. And keep in mind, if you're using like a 4-piece Tactician Authority set, you're only going to need 29,000 because it doubles when you start doing damage. But if you're not using the tac set, then you're going to need 58,000 skill power in order to hit the cap of 100% crit hit damage. Again, I was really surprised when I saw this because I didn't know you needed that much skill power for the pulse. And as for the cooldown time for the tactical scanner mod on the pulse, you're going to need 51,000 skill power in order to achieve that 20-second cooldown time. So yeah, now that we get the tactical scanner out of the way, I want to go ahead and compare it to another pulse mod. Let's compare it to the scrambler. As you can see here, you're going to need 134,000 skill power just to achieve the 40% crit hit chance with the scrambler mod. And you're also going to need 134 skill power in order to get the cap of 100% crit hit damage. And in order to achieve the 20-second cooldown time for the scrambler mod, you're going to need 48,000 skill power. Now you should also keep in mind that the scrambler mod shouldn't be used if you're trying to increase your crit hit chance or crit hit damage. It should only be used when you're trying to prevent you and your allies from hostile pulses. But yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at the sticky bomb. As you can see, for the BFB mod, which is the mod that gives you the most damage, you're only going to need 44,000 skill power in order to achieve the maximum damage, which is 250,000. And you're going to need 51,000 skill power in order to get the minimum cooldown, which is 20 seconds. And just like with the tactical scanner and the scrambler mods, when you compare BFB to flashbang, there's really no comparison when it comes to damage. But then again, the flashbang isn't really meant for damage. It's meant to disorient enemies. But if you wanted to try to cap out damage with the flashbang mod, you would need 603,000 skill power, which obviously isn't even possible. But in order to achieve the minimum cooldown for the flashbang, you're going to need 40,000 skill power. And I'm not going to go through each of these. I will go over a couple more, particularly the ones I use the most, which is first aid and smart cover. When it comes to the first aid skill, the mod that I use the most is the overdose mod. And as you can see here, you're going to need 53,000 skill power in order to get the maximum self heal and the maximum ally heal. And for the overdose mods, you're going to need 40,000 skill power to get the minimum cooldown, which is 20 seconds. So if you use the first aid overdose like I do, the maximum amount of skill power you'll need is 53,000. And again, if you're using the Tactician Authority set, you're only going to need 26,500 in order to reach the cap. And same thing with the smart cover with the recharger mod. In order to reach the maximum 75% damage reduction, you're going to have 53,000 skill power, same as first aid. And in order to get the 50% damage buff, you're only going to need 45% skill power. And in order to get the minimum cooldown of 20 seconds for the recharger smart cover, you're going to need 48,000 skill power. So for those who use the recharger smart cover with the first aid overdose like me, the maximum amount of skill power you're going to need is 53,000. Anything over that is a complete waste. And again, if you're using 4 tactician pieces, you're only going to need 26,500 skill power. Another thing I wanted to point out, let's go ahead and take a look at the turret skill. As you can see here, the effect 1 column caps at 2,600 damage. So using the turret's Dragon Breath mod as an example, you're only going to need 27,000 skill power in order to achieve the cap of 2,600 damage. And the effect 2 column for the Dragon Breath mod shows that you need 60,000 skill power in order to get the 150k HP, which basically gives you the maximum amount of durability and health for your turret. So again, for the Dragon Breath mod, you're going to need 27,000 to get the maximum damage, and you're going to need 60,000 to get the maximum health for your turret, and you're going to need 53,000 skill power to achieve the minimum cooldown, which is 20 seconds. And that's also similar to the support station and the seeker mine. When it comes to the support station, and let's use the life support mod as an example, you're going to need 66,000 skill power in order to achieve the cap of 5,000 health per second. And for the effect 2 column, for the life support mod, you're going to need 75,000 skill power to give your support station the maximum health. And same thing for the secret mine. Let's use the gas charge mod as an example. As you can see here, the gas charge mod doesn't do any damage whatsoever. And for the effect 2 column, you're going to need 66,000 skill power in order to give your secret mine the 25,000 HP. So yeah, I think that pretty much explains everything you're looking at in this infographic. If y'all have any questions, feel free to ask them below. And if I don't know the answer to them, then I'll try to find out. But yeah, I hope this helps those out there who are wondering how much skill power they need in order to reach the cap. I know it helped me because the only ones I knew about were first aid and smart cover. I had no idea how much skill power you need for these other skills and other mods. And again, I'll leave a link to this information in the description if you want to go check it out for yourself. But yeah, out of all of the skills in this picture, I think the tactical scanner surprised me the most because I did not know you needed 58,000 skill power in order to achieve the 100% crit hit damage cap. And like I said earlier, this doesn't include any weapon talents that increase your skill power, and it also doesn't include any skill attributes you may have on your gear. Which leads me to my next point, which is how to include the bonuses you get from the skill attributes on your gear when trying to figure out how much skill power you need. Alright, so if you're not like a mathematician like me, then you may want to go ahead and pull up a calculator, but I swear it's not going to feel like homework or anything. It's really simple. I'm going to be explaining how to include the skill attributes on your gear when trying to maximize your skill power and reach the skill power cap. Alright, so we're going to use the first aid skill as an example. And before we get into this, let me just quickly say, no, this is not a real build that you see. I know there's a couple y'all out there looking at the stats and thinking, what a shitty build. This isn't even a real build. I just put these pieces together to try to get as much electronics as I can so I can test out some of the skills and try to reach the cap. Again, this is not a real build, so just calm your tits and relax. And I'm sorry to disappoint some of you guys. I know you were really looking forward to telling me I have a shitty build. I'm sorry, it's not a real build. Anyways, as you can see here, we got a 9.5% increase in our first aid self-heal on these gloves. And as you can see here on my holster, for the skill attribute, we have a 9% increase in first aid ally heal. So that's a 9.5% for the first aid self-heal and a 9% increase for the first aid ally heal. And in order to simplify things, let's just say both are 9% just to make things a little bit easier to understand. Alright, so in order to figure out how much skill power you need in order to reach the cap while including these skill attributes on your gear, the first thing you're going to want to do is go to this picture here. And again, we're using the first aid overdose as an example, because those were the skill attributes I had on my gear. And as you can see here, again, it says you need 53,000 skill power in order to get the maximum self-heal and the maximum ally heal. And again, that's 53,000 skill power. We're just going to ignore the 40,000 skill power you need for the minimum cooldown for now. But you're going to take that 53,000 and then you're going to divide it by 1 plus the percentage of the skill attribute that you have on your gear. And I'm not a math teacher, so hopefully this picture explains it a little better than I do. But again, you want to take that 53,000 skill power that you get from the picture I showed you, divide it by 1 plus the percentage of the skill attribute that you have on your gear. So again, we had a 9% increase in first aid ally heal and self heal, so we're going to use 9%. And you're going to take 53,000 divided by 1 plus 0.09, which is basically 9%. And I just put it into my calculator because, again, I'm not really a mathematician. And after putting in that formula I just showed you, the answer came out to 48,623, which is how much skill power you're going to need in order to achieve the maximum skill power when you have both a 9% increase in first aid ally heal and a 9% increase in first aid self heal. So if you have those two skill attributes on your gear, you're not going to need 53,000 skill power in order to achieve the cap. All you're going to need is 48,623 skill power. And another way to look at it, just to double check and make sure that you're right, is multiply that 48,623 by 9%, because that's how much you're getting from the skill attributes on your gear. And the number you get from that, you want to add to the 48,623, and it should equal out somewhere near 53,000. Holy shit. I'm just now realizing something. We're actually doing some division in the division. Holy shit. Anyways, I hope this video explained how much skill power you need for each skill and for each skill mod. And I also hope that my terrible math teaching skills may have helped a couple of you as well. Anyways, if you're still watching, I want you to do me a favor. Alright, so this is what we're going to do. I want you to go to the comment section and I want you to tell me your 2 favorite skills in the division. But here's the thing. This is what we're going to do. The skills have to be made up, as in they don't really exist. So to start things off, I'm going to go first. For me personally, my 2 favorite skills are the worst aid with the blow your nose mod and the dumbass cover with the fapper mod. But that's just me personally. Those are the skills I prefer. So yeah, be sure to let me know in the comments, what are your 2 most favorite made up skills in the division? That way I'll know you watched the entire video, and for those who do, I salute you. Anyways, that'll do it for this video. If you enjoyed it or found it useful, don't forget to do what you do. I'm A1. Thanks for watching.